Today we shall endeavor to answer a profound set of philosophical questions in World of Warships Legends. Question number one: is it a good idea to sail down the middle in Two Brothers? And question number two: is having a big, slow, thick battleship an asset or a liability? Well, on the surface of it, you might look at those two questions and conclude instantly that the correct answer to both of them is a resounding no. And I would have sympathy with that position. In fact, I would even agree with it. But let us examine the proceedings in this match to see if they can help us yield answers to these questions. We are, of course, playing the USS Vermont, new legendary tier American battleship, famously a very slow vessel with a lot of HP and a lot of thick armor, but does take a lot of damage. If it gets involved in some trouble that it shouldn't be, well, it cannot get away from it because it's simply too slow. But the guns are excellent as they crash into the Schlieffen for 21,000 damage on the initial salvo, where he's not even giving us flat broadside, but is just, angled. In any case, the way Two Brothers tends to play out, because the titular islands in the middle sort of bisect the map and effectively form two separate little maps, all within one, what tends to happen is the teams will split their forces. And one side will go to the left side of the Two Brothers, one side will go to the right side, and then both teams will duel each other for supremacy on either flank. Whoever wins that supremacy will then push down the flank and attempt to take the enemy's base. That is the conventional way for the teams to play Two Brothers, but that is not always what they do. We can get a hint of that by simply observing which enemy ships are spotted on the minimap. We only see the Schlieffen and the Shimakaze right now, and it's not like the blue team has completely abandoned the right flank. There is a destroyer out there wide who would have line of sight on any ship pushing down the right flank, but he sees no one, which means there is no ship pushing down the right flank. It is only the Schlieffen, in battleship terms, that is sighted right now, and he's on our flank, getting whittled down quite quickly, because, of course, pushing a Schlieffen into several destroyers and battleships while you're the only ship that can be focused is going to result in quick demise. And that is true of the Schlieffen. He is about to go down here, but we did see some of our teammates pinging the minimap a moment ago. And I think we can reasonably conclude from the grayed out icons of the battleships in the channel of Two Brothers that aside from the Schlieffen, the remaining four battleships are probably in the center coming down right now. And so this leads me into the second question I asked a little earlier, which is about speed. Is having a top speed of 23 knots, as the Vermont does, an asset or a liability? Well, literally on every single map except maybe this one, it's pretty much a liability. It means you can't really effectively push into positions in any kind of expeditious manner, let's say. And if you find yourself occupying a poor position, well, there's no chance that you're going to run away and get out alive. But at the same time, Two Brothers is once again, as I said earlier, a bisected little map. And the thing that bisects it is the titular Two Brothers right there. So if you've got a battleship conga line that drives straight down the middle, well, if they choose to come out the other side and they've got, a slow-ass Vermont over here that's so slow it can't even leave its spawn, well, they're going to be giving broadside to that Vermont, not to mention any other battleship on the other side of the map that might still be hanging out for whatever reason. I mean, there are, after all, 10 destroyers in this match. Actually, maybe 9. No, 8. 8 destroyers, 4 on each team. Do the math, Xarkun. Anyway, That might be a reason why these battleships are not pushing forward. They're worried about the torpedo threat, but as a consequence, it means we have a crossfire on our own base. I'm here on the left side. We've got a battleship sort of south of the base, sort of to the right of the map. And then we've got another battleship basically in the same place where I am, just on the opposite side of the map. And that means, as we're taking a shot at this Shimakaze, thinking he's going to go forward, even though he's not, that means this Conqueror and the battleships following him coming out from the channel here are going to be giving broadside to both the left and right side of the map. And I, being a slow Vermont with great guns, am here to take advantage of that. So, first contestant, first donator of HP down the middle of two brothers, it is the Conqueror, who famously doesn't have very good armor. And it shows for 25k there, with the initial salvo from only 2 out of 4 of the guns. Of course, as you might suspect, the second set of guns yields much poorer results, only like 9k there. And the Conqueror's Citadel, maybe it's not all that hittable. I think it's a waterline Citadel. It might be a little bit below the water. You know who does have a Citadel, though, since the Conqueror is basically crippled at this point. I think our teammates are going to be able to finish him off. But you know who does have a Citadel is the IJN monstrosity Yamato. In fact, he's got a famous cheek that it looks like we can target. And if we do, well, this time we've got all 4 of these 18-inch guns going at that cheek. And do they slap it? Yes, they do, for over 50k. That is pretty much the majority of the damage we get in this game from that one single salvo against the Vermont, or against the Yamato. The Vermont's guns, what glorious weapons these can be. Yamato is regretting his life choices. He is in our base, by the way. He is starting to take it. But he's realized it's a bad idea to push out of the channel of two brothers when there's a Vermont hanging out on your broadside. And of course, reversing is not going to get you behind cover fast enough. Not fast enough to avoid being destroyed by these excellent guns. So there goes the Yamato for our first and I think only kill of the game. 3 citadels on that guy, so 2 salvos to finish him off with these glorious 18-inch guns. We have nearly 150,000 damage, and we have realized that it was only the Conqueror and the Yamato that apparently went down the channel on 2 brothers. There are, in fact, 2 remaining enemy battleships, and they are securely guarding their base, I suppose. But our destroyers are starting to encroach on it, so they don't really have a chance of winning. It's an unfortunate thing, certainly, since there are 7 minutes left to go in the game. And normally, I don't like to show matches that end in blowouts like this. But this was played during update week, and, you know, what else are you going to get during that week except blowouts? So this is a blowout, but I think it's instructive. Because if there is one conclusion that we can draw from watching this battle, and if there is an answer to the deep, profound, philosophic question that I posed at the beginning, namely, is it a good idea to go down the middle in 2 brothers? Well, the answer is not always a straightforward yes or no. The only time it is a straightforward no every time is if you take a battleship down the middle and instead of stopping at the mouth of the channel and trying to clear out whatever might be there from the relative protection of the 2 islands, instead of doing that, you simply push straight through the channel and come out the other side, exposing broadside to the enemy battleships lying in wait to punish you. Then it's a very, very bad idea. So don't do it. Instead, play smart. That's right, play intelligently. Go out onto the flanks at first. And maybe, once you clear out the flanks a little bit, maybe then you can turn around and go down the middle a little bit later in the game. That's usually a better time to do it. But if you are going to go down the middle, Always remember now that the Vermont exists, and it's simply too slow to push up one of the flanks. So if you go down the middle, it's going to be there, and it is going to punish your transgressions. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.